The Academy's worst student just inherited a legendary sword. Elliot Kane had exactly 3 talents: sleeping through alarm spells, tripping over his own scabbard, and ranking dead last in Thornfield Academy's combat division for 6 consecutive semesters. "Again," bellowed Instructor Vex, her stone-grey hair pulled into a bun so tight it could probably deflect arrows. "And this time, try not to stab yourself," Elliot groaned, picking himself up from the training yard dust for the 5th time that hour. Around him, his classmates executed perfect sword forms, blades humming with elemental energy, footwork crisp as autumn leaves. His own sword, a dulled practice blade he'd nicknamed Rusty out of spite, hung limply in his sweating grip. "I swear this thing's cursed," he muttered, attempting the crimson crane stance and immediately wobbling like a newborn giraffe. "The only curse here is your work ethic," Vex snapped. "Do you know what today is?" Elliot blinked. "Tuesday." "The inheritance ceremony. You absolute turnip." "Oh, right. The inheritance ceremony. That archaic tradition where the weapons vault opened once per year, allowing students to bond with legendary armaments left behind by ancient heroes. Not that it mattered. Legendary swords chose warriors with legendary potential. Elliot had the potential of lukewarm bathwater. Still, attendance was mandatory. So when the bells chimed noon, he trudged behind his class toward the vault, already planning his afternoon nap. The vault doors, carved obsidian etched with runes that predated the academy itself, swung open with theatrical slowness. Inside, weapons lined crystalline pedestals, spears crackling with lightning, axes that whispered of avalanches, bows strong with starlight, and in the very back, forgotten in shadow, a katana in a plain black sheath. Elliot felt it before he saw it, a tug in his chest, like a fishhook reeling him forward. His feet moved without permission. His hand reached out. The moment his fingers touched the handle, the world exploded in silver light. When Elliot's vision cleared, he was flat on his back, the mysterious katana lying across his chest. The blade itself was breathtaking, curved steel that seemed to contain entire galaxies, swirling with deep blues and purples like captured nebulae. Did that just happen?" someone whispered. Instructor Vex looked like she'd swallowed a lemon whole. "That's Fang, the blade that rejected 17 grand champions." "Cool," Elliot said brightly. "Then, wait, why'd it reject 17 grand champions?" "Because," drawled a voice from the crowd, "it's famous for killing its wielders." The speaker was Dante Cross, ranked first in their year, with silver hair and the kind of confident smirk that suggested he'd never failed at anything in his life. His own inherited weapon, a rapier called Heaven's Needle, gleamed at his hip. 8 masters, 8 corpses, Dante continued cheerfully. Fang doesn't just cut through space, it cuts through the wielder's life force. The stronger you fight, the faster you die. He tilted his head. Perfect match for the Academy's worst student, really. You'll probably keel over just drawing it. Elliot stared at the sword. The sword, if swords could have expressions, seemed to stare back smugly. "I'm keeping it," he announced. The entire vault went silent. "Are you brain damaged?" Vex demanded. "Probably," Elliot admitted. "But look, I'm already the worst student here. At least now I'm the worst student with a cool sword. That's like 2 steps up." Before Vex could confiscate his new death sentence, Elliot bolted from the vault. He made it exactly 40 feet before someone landed in front of him. Not someone, a girl about his age, with wild crimson hair, tied in a high ponytail, and amber eyes that glinted with barely contained chaos. She wore the dark green sash of the Academy's advanced combat track, and had approximately 30 daggers visible on her person. "Elliot Kane?" she asked. "Depends who's asking," Elliot said, already edging backward. "Zara Flint, I'm challenging you." "For what? My lunch money? My dignity?" "Both are in short supply." "For Fang, obviously." Zara's grin was all teeth. "I've been researching legendary weapons since I was 7. That blade's true power isn't the life drain curse, that's just a filter. It's looking for someone with the right resonance frequency, someone whose life force naturally regenerates faster than the sword can consume it. Elliot blinked. And you think that's me? The guy who can't do a basic parry without smacking himself in the face? Your file says you've recovered from injuries 3 times faster than normal students. The healers assumed it was their skill. I think it's you. Zara drew 2 curved daggers that hummed with wind magic. So, let's test it. Fight me with Void Fang. If you survive 10 seconds, you can keep it. And if I don't survive, then I get a cool sword, and you get a nice funeral. Hard to argue with that logic, Elliot sighed. The courtyard was already filling with spectators. Word of legendary weapon drama spread faster than cafeteria rumors. Elliot drew Void Fang. The moment the blade cleared its sheath, pain lanced through his body, cold and sharp, like ice water in his veins. His vision blurred at the edges. The sword felt impossibly heavy, as if it weighed more than the world. Then Zara attacked. She was a whirlwind. Daggers flashing, footwork perfect, each strike aimed to disarm rather than harm. Elliot stumbled backward, blocking on pure instinct, his form absolutely terrible. But something weird was happening. Every time Void Fang moved, reality seemed to skip. When Zara's dagger should have knocked his blade aside, the space between them shifted, and suddenly he was parrying from a completely different angle. When she lunged for his shoulder, he accidentally swung low, and a crescent of dark energy slashed out, forcing her to backflip away. 5 seconds! Some in the crowd shouted. The pain was getting worse. Elliot's hands were going numb, but underneath the agony, he felt something else, a warmth building in his chest, spreading outward. His body was fighting back, regenerating as fast as Void Fang consumed him. Zara's eyes widened. You're actually doing it! I'm actually dying! Same energy. She launched a spinning kick that would have taken his head off if reality hadn't hiccuped again, depositing him 3 feet to the left. 10 seconds, the crowd roared. Elliot collapsed. Releasing Void Fang, the sword clattered to the stones, and immediately the pain vanished. His breathing was ragged, his uniform soaked with sweat, but he was alive. Zara stood over him, grinning like a maniac. Holy crap, you're compatible. I'm incompatible with consciousness, Elliot wheezed. No, seriously. She hauled him upright with surprising strength. You actually survived. Do you know what this means? That I have terrible life choices? That you might be the first person in 3 centuries who can actually master that blade? Zara's enthusiasm was infectious and terrifying in equal measure. But you'll need training, real training. The kind the Academy won't give you because they think you're hopeless. Elliot wanted to argue, but looking at Void Fang, at the swirling cosmos trapped in steel, he felt that fishhook tug again. Okay, he heard himself say. Teach me. Training with Zara turned out to be a special kind of torture. Again, she barked, sounding disturbingly like Instructor Vex. I can't feel my everything, Elliot groaned from the ground. Then you're doing it right. Up! They'd been at it for 2 weeks. Secret sessions in the old training grounds after classes ended. Zara's philosophy was simple. If Void Fang drained life force while active, Elliot needed to build up his stamina until he could fight longer without collapsing. This meant drawing the sword for increasing intervals while Zara threw increasingly absurd challenges at him. Dodging practice, reflex drills. That one time she'd released a nest of razor wasps and told him to figure it out. He was improving, though. Last week he'd lasted 30 seconds. Yesterday, almost 2 minutes. His basic sword forms were still atrocious, but Void Fang's spatial warping meant precision mattered less than intent. Then Dante showed up. Elliot had just finished a session, sweaty, exhausted, pride thoroughly demolished, when the ranked first student materialized from the evening shadows like a theatrical vampire. So the rumors are true, Dante said, examining his manicured nails. The Academy's worst student is playing with a legendary weapon. How adorably tragic. Dante, Zara said flatly. Crawl back to your fan tub. I would, but then I'd miss witnessing this disaster firsthand. Dante's smirk sharpened. You know the Autumn Proving Grounds tournament starts tomorrow? Faculty-sanctioned duels, winner gets advanced placement and first pick of mission assignments? Elliot had forgotten. Again, I'm entering, Dante continued, and I'll be requiring a worthy opponent to showcase Heaven's Needle's true capabilities. Since you've inherited Void Fang, basic honor dictates you participate as well. Honor dictates I go take a nap. Afraid. Dante's tone was light, but his eyes glinted. Smart, actually. Heaven's Needle specializes in piercing defenses, magical, physical, and dimensional. Your little spatial tricks won't save you. He doesn't have to fight you, Zara interjected. Oh, but he does. Dante produced a scroll, an official challenge contract, already stamped with the Academy seal. I filed this an hour ago. Refuse, and the Academy revokes your weapon license. Void Fang returns to the vault. Elliot stared at the scroll, at Dante's insufferable face, at Void Fang, still sheathed at his hip, humming with silent judgment. Fine, he said. Tomorrow. I'll be there. Dante's victory smile could have lit the courtyard. Wonderful. Try not to die before then. I prefer my opponents conscious for their humiliation. After he left, Zara rounded on Elliot. Are you insane? You can barely last 3 minutes with the blade active, and Dante's been training with Heaven's Needle for 6 months. I know. He's going to obliterate you. Probably. Then why? Because, Elliot said quietly, touching Void Fang's hilt. I'm tired of being the joke. Just once. I want to see what happens when I actually try. Zara's expression softened, then hardened. All right. Then we're training all night. If you're going down, you're going down swinging. The tournament arena was packed. Elliot stood in the challengers' circle, Void Fang heavy at his side, trying to ignore the fact that approximately 300 students were watching him. The betting boards had him at 47-1 odds for survival, let alone victory. Across the ring, Dante stretched lazily, Heaven's Needle gleaming in the afternoon sun. Begin, Instructor Vex announced. Elliot drew Void Fang. Pain. Ice-cold agony flooding his veins. His vision tunneled. But underneath it, that warmth, his body regenerating, fighting back. Dante moved first, impossibly fast, Heaven's Needle stabbing forward in a blur. Elliot dodged on instinct, felt space bend around him, and suddenly he was 5 feet to the left. Cute trick, Dante said, but Heaven's Needle doesn't miss. The rapier struck again, and kept striking, each thrust precise and unavoidable. Elliot felt them piercing his spatial warps, forcing him to actually parry. His form was terrible, his footwork a disaster. But Void Fang moved like it was teaching him, guiding his hands through proper guards. 90 seconds, Zara's voice from the crowd, her personal timer. Elliot was already flagging. The pain was building, his regeneration struggling to keep pace. Dante noticed, pressed harder, Heaven's Needle becoming a storm of steel. Then Elliot saw it, a pattern in Dante's attacks, the same 3-strike combination, repeated. Predictable. Without thinking, Elliot stopped defending and swung. Void Fang released a wave of spatial distortion, reality itself rippling outward in a crescent of warped space. Dante's eyes widened. He tried to dodge, but the wave was too fast, too wide. It caught Heaven's Needle mid-thrust, and for a heartbeat, the legendary rapier bent, its perfect form twisted by impossible physics. Dante stumbled, actually stumbled. The crowd went ballistic. 2 minutes, Zara screamed. Elliot felt his consciousness fraying at the edges. His regeneration was maxed out, barely keeping him upright. But he'd done it. He'd actually landed a hit on Dante Cross. Impressive, Dante said, his smirk gone, replaced by something sharper. But playtime's over. Heaven's Needle began to glow, channeling Dante's considerable magical reserves. The next strike would end this. Elliot knew it instinctively. He had one chance, one stupid, reckless, absolutely terrible idea. Instead of dodging, Elliot charged. Dante's thrust came like lightning. Elliot twisted, let Void Fang's spatial warp pull him into the attack's blind spot, and brought his blade down in a wild, completely improper overhead slash. The two legendary weapons met. The impact shook the arena. Space itself screamed. For a frozen moment, Void Fang and Heaven's Needle locked together, cosmic steel against divine precision. Then Elliot's legs gave out. He collapsed, releasing Void Fang, consciousness flickering. The crowd held its breath. Dante stood above him, Heaven's Needle still ready, but his uniform had a tear across the shoulder. A clean slice, shallow but undeniable. First blood. The match goes to Dante Cross, Vex announced, but her tone was strange, almost impressed. Elliot lay on his back, grinning at the sky. He'd lost, obviously, but he'd lasted 2 minutes and 17 seconds. He'd forced Dante to actually try. He'd drawn blood from the Academy's best student. Not bad for the worst student. The infirmary was quieter than Elliot expected. He woke to find Zara sitting beside his bed, juggling 3 of her daggers with casual precision. "You're an idiot," she said without looking. "Documented fact," Elliot agreed, wincing as he sat up. "How long was I out?" 6 hours. "The healers say your regeneration is insane. They've never seen anyone recover from Void Fang's drain that fast." Zara caught all 3 daggers simultaneously. "You're a medical mystery. Congratulations. Every boy's dream." Dante came by. That got Elliot's attention. To gloat? To leave this? Zara tossed him a scroll. Elliot unrolled it carefully. Inside, written in Dante's unnecessarily elegant handwriting, "Next time, last 3 minutes, DC." Not a dismissal, a challenge, an acknowledgement. "He's still insufferable," Elliot said, but he was smiling. "Completely," Zara agreed. "But he's watching you now. They all are." She gestured toward the window, where Elliot could see the training yards. "Word got out about your match. Suddenly everyone's interested in the worst student who nearly took down the best. Nearly as generous. Nearly as progress." Zara stood, stretching. "So, what now?" Elliot looked at Void Fang, propped against the wall in its black sheath, the blade that had chosen him, cursed him, and somehow given him purpose. "Now," he said slowly, "I figure out how to last 5 minutes, then 10. Then," he trailed off, overwhelmed by the enormity of it. "Then you become someone worth remembering," Zara finished, "instead of someone worth forgetting." Heavy. True, though. Before Elliot could respond, Instructor Vex entered, looking deeply uncomfortable with whatever she was about to say. "Kane," she began stiffly, "due to your unexpected performance in the tournament, the Academy Board has decided to reassess your combat division ranking." Elliot blinked. "Am I still last?" "You're second to last," Vex said, like the words physically pained her. "Congratulations. Try not to make me regret this." After she left, Zara burst out laughing. "Second to last. You're moving up in the world." "Living the dream," Elliot said dryly. But inside, something warm and bright was building. Not regeneration this time, but something better. Hope. He'd spent 6 semesters being the Academy's punchline, the student who couldn't hack it, the one teachers wrote off before first period. But Void Fang had chosen him. Zara believed in him. Even Dante, in his own twisted way, was pushing him forward. Maybe, just maybe, being the worst student had been preparation for becoming something else entirely. That afternoon, Elliot returned to the training yards. This time, when he drew Void Fang, the pain felt different. Still there, still intense, but familiar now. Like a difficult friend, around him students paused their own practices to watch. Not with mockery this time, but curiosity. Elliot took his stance, still terrible, still all wrong, and began the crimson crane form. He made it 6 whole seconds before tripping over his scabbard. The watching students groaned. Zara facepalmed. Somewhere, Dante probably felt a disturbance in the universe, but Elliot just laughed, picked himself up, and tried again. After all, he had a ranking to improve, a sword to master, a rival to surpass. And for the first time in 6 semesters, absolutely nothing to lose.